Welcome back, everyone, to the Loom Lounge. We're here again. I'm Heather, and I'm here with Stephen today. And today's episode is one that we're really excited about. We've been excited for a while because we're going to introduce one of our developers. We're calling this episode Magikarp to Gyarados. If you know, you know. I didn't know. I had to ask, but now I know, and so I'm in the club.
Gyarados. Yeah, but if you know, you know. And if you know, let us know in the comments. Talk to us about Magikarp to Gyarados. Okay, so we talk a lot on this show about how game dev is messy and there's a lot going on in the background, and it's learning is not linear, which of course is one of our founding principles, and it's true. But today we want to talk to someone who's actually lived this reality, particularly in a game dev setting, someone who didn't grow up at all, even as we understand it, and we're going to interview him and get more ideas on this, but he didn't grow up at all. Actually, he didn't grow up at all, full stop. No, he didn't grow up at all planning to make, right? He's still a kid. He didn't grow up at all learning to make games, with the intention of making games. And he also went into a completely different path as from a career perspective. But he's ended up in game development actually with us, and has produced some of the most remarkable work on Threadbare, which we would love to talk to him about. His name is Manuel, and we are going to bring him in now.
Yay, Manuel, welcome.
Welcome, Manuel.
He's here.
One of our game development heroes.
Stephen.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, very, very well, sir. Very well. Thank you. And so, first of all, would you just give an introduction to yourself and what role you hold in the organization and some of the things that you've been doing just in the last few weeks or months?
Yes, sure. So I am Manuel. I'm a software engineer, a programmer. Also, I have some background in graphics, animation, visual arts. I'm also a father. I'm from Argentina. English is not my native language, although I can communicate very well in technical English. I am a bit limited when having a conversation like this, so I tend to speak slow. For people watching the recording, you may want to put it in 2x. But yeah, I will try. And my role, for my role in Threadbare, yes, I am part of the game team. And also I feel part of the big community building this game. A maintainer. So along with Will Thompson, we are the maintainers of Threadbare, which means we review the pull requests that learners send to us to improve the game, to add their own stories to the game, for instance. And yeah, I am super proud because I work daily in game development in Threadbare.
That's awesome. And Manuel, from my perspective, you do an incredible job for us. You really do. And Threadbare would not exist in the way that it does without you. And I think that's really, really important to be able to highlight, is that you are a leader in the Threadbare development space for us. And so I'm very, very excited to interview you, particularly because, as we mentioned, you didn't come from that background. So welcome to the Loom Lounge,
exactly.
Manuel, and we have a few questions for you.
Before we get into those questions, though, we are definitely excited that you're here. I do consider you to be an expert, and you have saved me in several occasions with your background knowledge and skills. So thank you. I will publicly thank you. But you didn't start out in the games team. Endless has a history of many different projects, and all of them are kind of more on the developer side of things. So you came from that end, but then you moved into the games team. So that's a twist in and of itself. Let's unpack that. Did you plan to be a game developer? Were you secretly hoping that your career would end up in this spot? Why were you open to jumping into the games team? Yeah.
Because for sure, I always imagined myself connecting my two worlds, like the technical side and the more artistic side, but not specifically a game developer. So I kind of stumbled into it. At the same time, I started programming because of video games. So it's like I am
full circle moment.
Drawing a circle.
Yes. That's great. And something about that, Manuel, you said, I mean, you are an artist. We all know that because we know you, but someone who says like this guy's a coder, or this guy's a developer, or this guy builds games even, you wouldn't think that art is something that you would need for that career, but it does help you in this job, right? Your artistic tendencies, your very strong art talent.
Yes, I don't consider myself an artist, but someone who kind of can draw, can animate, without being any of that specifically. But yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It really helps. It really helps me because, as you know, games are multidisciplinary. So and also that's why making games as a community is great, because everyone from different skills can give their input. But yeah, in my career, it took me a while to understand that I am not a specialist. So I'm basically not good in anything at all. I think it's great that we have specialists, that we have, I don't know, we have doctors who can do open heart surgery inside lives. We have kernel hackers. We have game engine developers who can speak to the GPU, and so we can enjoy fancy 3D graphics, AI. But also being a generalist is a possible path. So yeah, I don't want to be the best painter or animator. I don't want to be the best programmer. I just want to know a little bit of each field, enough to do the job in a more pragmatic way. Pragmatic way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I like that each world influenced the other. So yeah, but it was a bit frustrating for me because I realized a bit too late that being a generalist is a path. The careers always tell you that the profession is to be
Mm-hmm.
a specialist.
Right?
To put you in a
That's
bucket.
Mhm.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really interesting thing. It's almost like generalism is that a word? I don't know. Well, it is now. Generalism is
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily. I mean, I remember when I spoke
Mhm.
at school about with my careers officer, we would go to our careers
Mhm.
officer and they would say, based on your grades, we think you should be able to do X, Y, and Z. And there was nobody ever talked about generalizing, which, and maybe because it's frowned upon, but actually it's a phenomenal talent in and of itself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who cares if you can't do heart surgery? You can do 10,000 other things that the heart surgeons can't, right? And there's something to be said for that generalization, not just in game development, but across, I'm sure, all sorts of spaces out there. And, um, that generalization is really important.
I consider Manuel to be a surgeon, though, because he has definitely performed surgery on my code. So I like there is a level of
Yep.
surgeon in you, Manuel.
Dissected
Anyway.
it, saved its
Oh yeah,
life.
saved its life
Got it
for
breathing
sure.
again, put it back out
Yeah.
into the codosphere. Excellent. All right. Tell me about just one of the things you talked about, never actually really planning to be a game developer, but you had hoped to merge those sort of passions. Are you a gamer, Manuel? Like, have you been a gamer?
I've been a gamer in the 90s. Mostly, I was a PC user, not
Okay.
consoles. So without Steam, but with floppy disks.
Nice.
I
Classic.
remember, I remember playing a lot of Monkey Island, the point
Oh,
and click classics, hours and hours. Also,
look up behind you.
Lemmings.
There's a three-headed monkey.
And yes, I remember playing SimCity, Prince of Persia, Doom a lot. It's ultra
Yeah.
violent, but it was amazing to see a 3D game running so fast on my Pentium PC
Right.
back then. Then the CD-ROM era, lots of sharewars, Alone in the Dark. The Neverhood, which was made of clay, is a great point
Okay.
and click.
Okay.
But yeah, I am today I'm more a casual player, I would say.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I love indie games. I also love Nintendo games a lot.
Wonderful.
That's
Good.
great.
Good. And because that's really important, I think, when
Hmm.
people say, "Oh, I'm in game development," and I've literally met people like this when I say, oh, you're in game development. Oh yeah, I work for whatever studio, shall remain unnamed. And then I say to them, do you game? And they go, oh goodness, no, I only know how to make them. And I find that such an interesting thing, that there are people out there, and
Hmm.
good, all good to them. But there's people out there that know how to make a game, but never really have an interest in playing them. For me, that's fascinating, because I'm the opposite. I'm with you. Like, I grew up in the
Hmm.
70s, 80s, 90s, playing games, and my identity as a gamer has shifted, so that the games that I play then are not the games that I'm interested now. I've moved from, dedicated to same as you, casual single player experiences mostly. And I just find it interesting, but it's great that you're able to combine those two passions. One thing we do talk about, which I mentioned earlier, is that, I mean, we imagine that learning works in a linear way. It's like, I learn to do A, and then I can then apply that. I then learn to do B, and I can apply that. And if A and B happen to be applicable together, then great. And then I learn to do C. And we almost imagine that there's this path. And at some point we can call ourselves, if we've done A to F, we can call ourselves a game developer. But it's not true. Tell us a bit about that. Tell us a bit about, where you are now compared to where you came from, and how that journey was just not linear.
Yeah, no, my journey wasn't linear at all. In programming in particular, I discovered open source when I was in the university,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like random events that led to other opportunities and things. For instance, so when I was in the university, I met the local Linux community from my town, and then because of that led to meeting the Python community, which is a programming language, and I met the local Python community in Argentina, PR, which led to meeting another community, open source community called Sugar. For this was an educational project
Mm-hmm.
from One Laptop per Child, and that led to even more global GNOME community for desktop in Linux. And that led me to Endless. So it was one opportunity after the other, but it wasn't linear at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Then now Endless Access games, which I wasn't expecting, and is like closing the circle.
yeah.
And
Because I remember the time, Manuel, when we got that, we were basically given the instruction: you're a game studio now.
Mhm.
You're going to build a game. And we came to you and Will and said, hey, do you want to build a game? And so that I was there at one of those moments where your career kind of like shifted. So I feel very
Exactly,
honored to have been there in
yes.
that kind of like, you were doing one thing, and then on Thursday, and then by Friday you were doing something entirely different. But one thing I did want to just point out there before we move on to the next part is, thank you for mentioning, and I'm so glad that your beginning was in open source, because the very basis of Threadbare, just for those of who are watching, and whether you're a learner looking to get involved in Threadbare, or you're an educator looking to be a part of what it is that we're doing through your children, this is what we do. This is open source. Anyone can get involved. Anyone can be a part of Threadbare. And like Manuel, this could be the start of your career, or your children's career, your learner's career. So, like Manuel, open source could very well be the gateway. So, I just
Yeah.
wanted to point
Yeah,
that out.
that's huge. And I noticed your emphasis on community, and the open source community is such a welcoming place. And there's a lot of room for just like trial and error with your ideas and your different projects. And for you, that started back in web development or software. I would love to hear a little bit about that transition, like what people say developer, but they're not the same thing. Developer of code is not the same as developer of a game. And so it'd be nice to kind of dig into the difference between that. And was there any culture shock
Mhm.
making that switch between writing code versus writing code for a game? even just like the way the code is structured, et cetera. So if I just have one question about that in terms of the struggle that you
Mhm.
had, like what was the hardest part about transitioning from the code of development versus the code of game development specifically? What kind of was the hardest piece to adapt to in that
The
change?
hardest thing, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, as I agree with you that they are different in part. You can also look at games as software, so they are software projects, but also they are very unique software projects because of the creative of the creative sides of games, and they are, yeah, very different than other software. Like I worked previously for desktop apps, uh, web, as you were mentioning, different products for education. And yeah, working from for desktop apps, we have some quality standards and especially in open source. And in games, it tends to be the code base tends to be much more messy, and I had to learn about that, how to go faster in making prototypes, in uh, putting myself in that mood. This is true even in big successful commercial games. I remember when we worked with a game studio for the minimum viable product, the MVP of Threadbare. We worked with a game studio who has a release game on Steam, Funny Pack. They released Runa. I recommend it, and we had like an interesting crossover of cultures, in because we had different ways of working. Will and I come
Mhm.
from open source software engineering, and so it was good. I think we both learned from each other. So
Good.
yeah, that was one. I can continue pointing you to
Yeah. I
differences.
I think it would be great to see some examples, specifically like
Mhm.
when maybe there's something about games that is more challenging because of the multidisciplinariness. I just made up a word too of that.
Yes.
You know, that like there's more to consider, or there's different types of people to interact with.
Mhm,
I would
mhm.
imagine there are some challenges like that, and then maybe you could
Yes, I
show
can
us
show
too.
you.
Yeah.
I can show you the Godot editor, because another another difference I see is that in general purpose software development, you may use IDEs. An IDE is an integrated development environment, and Godot is one of. In general purpose software development, you may use IDEs if you do apps for Android, for instance, but otherwise, or what I was used to do is use my own text editor, pick my own tech stack that suits my needs, and in Godot, the game development. Oh, I think, Luis, I will stop sharing and I will share again. Sorry,
Yeah.
Luis is our hero
Luis
Excellent
is
behind
our
producer.
the
producer behind the
scenes.
scenes. Behind all of this
Yes,
genius that you're seeing, folks, is like the real genius, Luis.
Mhm.
He's our producer.
exactly. So let me do
None of this
this.
exists without Luis. While you're doing that, Manuel, I just want to mention to everyone
Mhm.
that Godot, Godot, Godot is the open source game development engine that we use. It's completely free. It's extremely small to install. It's very, very good for accessibility into game development, and it's
Mhm.
what we're building Threadbare on. So if you've ever thought to yourself, "Well, I'd love to do this, but Unity's too, you know, complex or expensive," or "I'd love to do this, but Unreal Engine, which is another incredible engine, by the way, but Unreal Engine is too big and it's too fancy." And Godot is a fantastic one, really genuinely wonderful place to start. It's open source, it's free, it's accessible, and it's what we're using to build Threadbare.
Yes, and we just call it the editor. Sorry,
Yeah.
I introduced the IDE concept, but basically what I meant to say is that in Godot, you all you do is basically here, except for collaboration in Git, for instance. There are exceptions to that, like you can use an external editor instead of using here the script, um, the script in here.
Hmm.
And you can also do yeah, different things, but basically you are here, and that is interesting um, because basically you can do everything in here in in a single place.
Hmm.
And so back to your question, Heather, something
Mhm.
I we were currently struggling is this thing that this is a game. We want to make a fun game, a game
Mhm.
that is super fun, good looking, that players enjoy. And we also have the educational side, right? We want
Mhm.
learners to, uh, we want this to be a door and lower the barrier for learners to
We do, yeah.
make their own stories, their own games,
Yeah.
become game developers
Mhm.
themselves. So we are kind of there's like a kind of tension between those two goals, and
Mhm.
what do we do for what we expose to learners is the tricky part. Initially,
Yeah.
what we
You
yes,
have I know this because we worked on this together, and I think
yes,
the inspector panel is actually a really great example of what you're talking about. The
hmm
different things that you've surfaced for us to kind of scaffold learners so that it's not really hard code at the beginning of their learning journey.
yes. The first scaffolding we did is this. So you go into tools, you can create story quests from a template.
Hmm.
So you can create your own, my own story. Sorry, this is a very boring title. And if you create it, you can see a lot of files here now. So I have an intro scene, I have a stealth scene that I can start and modify, and my story quest is already here. If I go and talk to the story quest elder, my own story is here and playable. So this is the first scaffolding we did, and this is great. We are also thinking in how now how to improve it with more customizations, giving learners more things to play, more things to do in the game. So
Hmm.
we are making playgrounds, like
Yes.
this one. This is one. This is another one. Basically, oh, first let me show you a little bit more of the templates, or should we go to the playgrounds directly?
Yeah, I think it's great to see the templates. We did show those in another episode a
Yes,
little
I
bit.
know.
We
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's something that we've seen, but I actually would love to talk about the sandbox idea
Mm-hmm.
because I had so much fun with that the other day in our play test. It was really, really nice to see that new feature, and I would love to have you kind of play it and show everybody some of those new features. It'd
Yeah,
be
the
great.
templates are also kind of a sandbox, but they have a. I think they are specific levels. So they one is telling you, okay, do a combat level. The other one is do a stealth level, and the other one is do a sequence puzzle level.
Hmm.
With the playgrounds, there are no goals basically in a
Yeah.
playground. There
Yep.
are just toys.
Exploration. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So we provide, for instance, this one is for the repel. Repel is
Which is a new feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. Well, it was there,
Hmm.
but you previously you only were able to repel in the combat,
Yes. When something was
the
coming at you. Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
the projectiles. And now we made it a bit more generic. So this scene is actually an example of other things you can repel, like this lever. When I repel it from the opposite side, it does nothing. But if I repel from this side, it opens this door.
That's great. And when learners are playing this, they're thinking about how they can take that concept or that feature or that mechanic and build it into their own story quest. So they're looking at that like, oh, I have an idea for what I could do with a lever or with this repel mechanic.
Exactly.
For their own story, yeah.
Here's a repellable pillar or wall. I don't know. And here are these balls here.
Yep.
Actually, let me grab the joypad.
You're gonna use the controller. Nice.
Yes, much better. And repel here is.
That could have helped me the other day in the playtest. I didn't even think that I could do that. I mean, I know it's possible, but I didn't think to do it. That's great.
And yes, as I was telling you, these are just playgrounds. There is no goal in here, but you can imagine, I don't know, I will make a goal. You can pass this level if you put all these balls in the room here. Then we have the other one. I can actually show you that this, for instance, the lever, I can inspect here with the game running, with the running game, how this works. That's one of the great things of Godot. So I can show you, so the repel can be on or off, and I can change it from here. Which are the targets of the template of the lever? What is the lever affecting? And the lever is affecting a tile map layer that is here. The toggable.
So something that Manuel was showing on the right-hand side of the screen, that's called the inspector panel. And that's where a lot of the code is kind of, it's there, but it's a little more friendly, user-friendly for beginners. So Manuel on the right there, that inspector, we're talking about it being a nice, easier place to interact with these concepts and turn on repel, for example, as opposed to having to go into the hard code of it, right?
Thank you, Sarah. I think I lost connection for a bit.
It's okay.
But yeah, you're right. I was talking about that precisely. The other sandbox, which I think is new to you both, is this for the grappling hook.
Some storyboards in there.
Yes, and basically, again, there is no goal in here, but this pillar, now you can pull it.
Oh, great.
And
I haven't seen this before. This is new for me right now.
You can pull it from different directions depending on what you do with the.
That's great for puzzle creation. That's amazing. Oh, and he's gone again. That's all right. I could dream up some puzzles to use that mechanic with. That's very cool.
And this is one of the magic things. Just while we're bringing Manuel back, this is one of the magic things about. I said this last week, actually. I think as part of the, as the creative director of Threadbare, I'm constant. People say to me, "Oh, so you must have a roadmap, and you must know what's happening, and you must be able to list everything that's." And I'm like, actually. I actually don't know a lot of what's going on in the game. And one of the things, I mean, even at the very beginning when we started developing this, Manuel came to us and said, I have this idea for a grappling hook. And to have one of our developers come to us and say, I have this idea, and we just go for it.
Sure.
And then
that sounds great.
Go for it. Sounds great. And then Manuel kind of committed his time to this grappling hook, which has become one of, as you can see from the demo that Manuel's giving him, we'll get back to him in a second, is it's become one of the core mechanics of both navigating the world, escaping the void, which we'll do another presentation on, another live stream on, but also, as you can see, it's now being developed into these new puzzle mechanics that we haven't even seen yet. This is the beauty of Threadbare, is that it's not dictated by this linear system of road mapping. It's generated by the ideas that people bring to the table, not just our own developers, but actually you watching at home and anyone else in the world who fancies an opportunity. Manuel, back to you.
Yes. So again, many things are exposed here in the Godot editor, like the length of the string. You can make it longer. And oh, now it's breaking because the max length is smaller than the length. So I can make this longer as well. And now
I
I
like
can shoot.
4,000.
Yes.
And this is
Whoa,
one of the,
look at that.
and this is great actually for those of you watching thinking, I've never done game development before, or game development has always looked so difficult. I look at these screens. I did it, and the first time I ever opened up Unity, I was like, I have no idea what any of this is. I didn't even know how to open my first node, and create something from scratch. I remember doing it with Unreal Engine. I remember doing it with Game Maker back in the day, Game Maker 8 or something like that back in the day. What
I
we
can
are
put
working
the
on.
logo, the endless logo in the rope if I want.
Lovely, right? And this is the thing that we're showing, is that what we can do by using the works on the right hand side that you can see there, is you have the opportunity to really tinker. I think tinker is a really good word for
It's a
this,
good
right?
word for
You
that,
can
yeah.
tinker with this stuff. What happens if I do this? What
Mhm.
happens if I do that? And if I break it, I just reset it and I start again. I put the values back to 0 and we just start all over again. And so we've tried to create something that allows our learners to really experiment, ideate, tinker, make mistakes, and learn from in this sort of engine, in this Godot engine, this open source Godot engine. And from that tinkering comes those ideas, those new abilities, the realization, oh, I didn't realize it was going to do that. I can now turn that into a game function, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're really trying to inspire as well.
Exactly. With and the Godot editor is great for that because you can do trial and error in here. You can also see what's inside these playgrounds. You can move stuff around. So maybe you want to rearrange the needles here or
Yep.
duplicate them and create your own pattern or little puzzle. And then the next level is you go inside the what is a hookable needle, and you go inside and you inspect it and you see, okay, this has these things inside. You can inspect the component and maybe create your own components and or different things that react differently to the grappling hook. So that's the case. This you can see the violet area is the hookable area, and you can also read the documentation of it, which is an area to connect the grappling hook and how it works. Um,
And that could be something really
so
simple, like I don't want it to be a needle. I want it to be a hammered nail, like a bent
you
nail.
can change
And
the
all you would do
sprite.
is you would change the sprite in that case, right? And just make it
Exactly.
different.
Yeah, it's like
So,
taking the building blocks of the game and taking them apart and looking inside them and figuring out
Mhm.
what they are and then putting them back together again in a new way.
and I think there's something to be said for that. This was one of my big principles of work when I was working in Minecraft, was the reverse engineering was the important part. It was like I could teach something from scratch. I could teach you to do the A, B, C, D, E, F, and you would come through the other side of it. And sure, you would have learned something, and some learners would have taken more from that than others. But every learner, every single one, took something from reverse engineering, the ability to break down, see what was done before them, understand how it was made, change it to suit their own imagination or their own ideas, and then republish it. That was the ticket. So I used to build, much like this, I used to build these worlds that kids could, and I used to say to them, pull it apart, redesign it, make whatever you want, change the buildings, change the materials the
Absolutely.
buildings are made of, change the command blocks and put different things in them, and the kids would thrive on that. It was the idea of modding a game before you learn how to build a game, I think, is really
Yeah, I
critical.
think sometimes the act of creation feels intimidating, right? Because you're starting from scratch and you're
Mhm.
like, I don't know where to start. And if you
So
have
we'll give you,
something in
yeah,
front of you that you can take apart and look inside and figure it out, then I
yeah,
think it's a little less intimidating to take those first steps.
yeah,
So we
absolutely.
appreciate everything that you've done, Manuel, to create these resources and these kind of surprise building blocks inside Threadbare that we can put in front of our learners and say, dig into it. What do you think? What could you build with
Absolutely.
this?
One thing I think would be really important, Manuel, is if you don't mind, could you share what the grappling hook now looks like in a game level? So if you could go to the game and show us what your
Yes.
work now translates as. So imagine, our watchers are thinking, okay, I've gone in, I've reversed engineered something that Manuel has made. What does that look like? So if you now go to Threadbare, and for those who are watching at home, play.threadbare.game, and you can experience the grappling hook itself. But if we go into that and we play that, what does it look like?
What
Manuel's
does
going to
it
show
look
us.
like? With which modifications,
Well,
or
just
you
play.
want me to?
We have a
Just to
game. We
see it
have
in
we
game.
have a
Yeah.
level. Yeah, I think it's the void.
Void.
There's one of the levels where we have to go
Yes.
in, and if
So
you could show us
so
what that looks like.
there are several. We have the grappling hook start level,
Yeah, we
which
only
is
need a
this
few
level
seconds.
here,
Yeah. Ah.
in which we are making power ups. Also, this reminds me, we are so you can collect the grappling hook at this level. Now,
Right.
because I am playing the single scene, I have the grappling hook is granted by the game, but this is one such level. The void appears, deletes some floor, and the narrative tells you the void is blooming fast. You'll need a grappling hook to get to Linenville. Take
Mm-hmm.
mine. And this is already taken, that's why it's transparent. But if I do some debugging and I go here, I can remove the grappling hook ability, and now I can now collect it, because if I click now, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I collect, and it tells me you got a new ability, grapple,
Okay. Yeah.
and now I can use it.
And now you can use it to collect buttons, or you can use it
Collect these
to
buttons, exactly, or navigate
move
the
things
game,
around.
because by using those needles, I can move through non-walkable floor, is the
Yep.
technical
Yeah.
name in the game. Non-walkable floor is, imagine I have the player here.
Yeah.
The great thing about, oh, sorry, about using the editor is that you can modify it while it's running, and I'm doing that more and more lately. So you can see the collision layers of the player. Players collide with themselves, with NPCs, with non-walkable floor, and
Okay.
with walls. If I deactivate non-walkable floor, I will be able to walk
Ah,
in
so that's
here.
Wow,
just
he's not
literally
being
point and
consumed
click.
by the void.
But because but because it collides with that, which is here,
Now
yeah,
you've
you can
switched it
see.
off. So it's literally
Now I am
point and
back.
click stuff, which is fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is beautiful.
So
And for those of you who are watching at home, if you click on the link that we put in the chat, play.threadbare.game, you can go into one of our
mhm,
elders and you can make your way through the void using the grapple hook yourself, and experience the work that Manuel has been developing over the last few weeks.
you can see
Which
here
is great.
that the grapple is like a faster way of navigating the world.
Right.
You can do it in sequence. The controls are you can use mouse and keyboard. The control hints you can see below, but they are in Spanish. But I can show it in English. So you can see move. I am moving, and throw is with the X. So that is with the keyboard only.
Mhm.
Otherwise, with the mouse, I recommend using WASD in
Yep.
the mouse,
Mhm.
Okay.
or
And
with
you can
you can see when I switch to the joypad, the input
mhm.
hints switch to the
At
joypad
the
as
bottom, yeah,
well.
at the
So you
bottom of
can
the screen, I
see.
noticed that when you switched the
Mhm.
HUD, we call that a HUD,
So I can
right?
use,
Yeah.
yeah, so I can use the other I don't remember the name in English, but the other okay,
Trigger
the
button thing.
yes, palanca
Yeah.
Button.
to aim now. So I can with a joypad I can move
Stick.
in
Is it a
the
stick?
sticks.
The
Thank you.
stick.
You're
The
welcome.
control stick.
So I can move and aim in different directions.
That's a really
And
that's a really interesting point though I want to talk to you about, Manuel, because
mhm,
as a non-native English speaker,
mhm,
you have been able to do a lot of the work that you're doing. I saw that the game was in Spanish for you, etc. But universally, code is English, right? And so you
yes.
have to when you come to work in any game engine, but in particular, Godot, of course, is our game engine of choice. The
Mhm,
universal language of code is in English. And so
mhm.
how does that work? Tell us about that from a learning perspective. If we've got people watching out there that are like, I would love to get involved with this. I wonder if code's in
Yes, yes.
Spanish, or I wonder if code's in Russian, or I wonder if code's in Arabic. Like,
Nowadays it's a bit different because thanks to AI, it's super easy to work together and uh, GitHub, for instance, which is the hub in which we collaborate
mhm,
with Git, automatically translates, or you can automatically translate, and so we can speak it our own languages in comments, and that is translated automatically. That's for UTP, for instance, that was
Mhm.
very successful. We have learners speak typing in Spanish, and we get the the comment in English. Um,
What I love about that is it multiplies the impact of community so quickly. So
yes,
we have people working together from all over the world who may not speak the same language, but are able to collaborate
mhm,
on the same game. And that's really
mhm,
powerful.
mhm,
yeah, absolutely. Of course, English, and I still recommend learning English if you want to do game development. It
Mhm.
opens so many much doors, and the technical part um, is not that much. So I consider myself very good at technical English,
Mhm.
not so much in a daily conversation like this.
We think you're
But
doing great
for
with English.
technical English,
yes.
I think
You
it's
should hear our Spanish. It's
Because I was
not
going to say,
the
I tell you what, I
same.
don't do is speak Spanish.
Yeah. Un poquito.
so
um,
it's like a little puzzle. If you that we did, you have to make a loop in
Mhm.
here,
mhm.
and some coins appear. The problem is that I already
Yeah,
got,
I saw
Coins.
you
You took
collect
the
them at the
coins.
beginning.
and
So,
this door
mhm.
opens.
We have a question in chat
Mhm. Yes.
from Justin saying, Manuel, can you show that prototype scene a community member made with your grapple?
Oh yes, that.
That
Thank
would
you,
be
Justin,
amazing.
for that because that was very interesting. It's a combination of so when we were developing the abilities, um, because let me rewind a little bit.
Mhm.
Before this game was you needed to put the player in a particular mode. So there were basically three modes or four, and you had to put, okay, in this level, the player has the grappling hook. In this level, the player can push the ink blobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we switched to abilities, in which that's great because now you can combine those.
Hmm.
And our development is open, so we talk, we communicate all we do on GitHub on a pull request, and I was iterating in this pull request of the abilities. And one person, I think it's a learner from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Actually, let me grab the name because I think it's important to give some credits.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
what they did was this level that combines the abilities. I think I can share Unify Abilities Test here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because the abilities weren't even merged in the game,
So
into
you
the
could only
game.
have one at a time, right? You can
It
only
was in
do one thing
progress.
at a
It
time.
was
Yeah, yeah,
work in progress,
yeah, yeah.
and they were following our development, and they came up with an idea of combining them, which I can play it, and then please let me go and check the name. So basically, in this level, you can
You can.
see you can use the grapple and the repel at the same
Mm-hmm.
time,
Ah.
and the idea is that you need to
Oh, I
feel
see
that.
it.
And how do you
Whereas,
feel that?
and previously, without this update, you would have been able to either deflect the ink or use the
Mm-hmm. Or
grapple hook,
jump.
but not both.
This lets you
Exactly.
multitask, and it
Yeah,
makes it more stressful,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
good in a
Right.
game, right?
Thanks for that.
Yeah. That's
As
great.
if the ink drinkers weren't stressful
Yeah,
enough,
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
The level they presented was super hard because that's one problem we developers have, that we think uh, this is easy for us. So because
Yeah.
we did it. So
You made it, yeah.
when you made it, you usually think, okay, this is so trivial. I need to make it harder and harder and harder.
Yeah,
But in reality, what you do is do play testing with people, with
yeah.
your friends, with family, with the community, and then you tune the difficulty with that
There's
information.
a question in chat that's related to that.
Mhm.
Thinking about a similar question, is there a difference in how you approach user testing and feedback and the way you make changes in a game compared to other types of software projects? So there's a lot of user testing or play testing, we call it, with game development.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's different from other types of software. Have you seen that?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, so when there's play testing, that's when someone's testing out the game,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
But when you were doing software development as opposed to games, you were testing code, having users test your code that you wrote. What are the differences there between user testing of software and play testing of games?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more or less the same.
Just more fun, maybe, to play test a game.
It's usually more fun to play test the game.
Right.
um, yeah, both have more fancy ways of doing it, like collecting metrics, or
Mm,
but the most important thing is watch the people doing it and pay attention to what they are doing. What are they
mhm.
doing with the player? Are they running or not? What are they struggling with? Even that's even more important than what they are communicating in words. But there is also a very good people that is very good at communicating what they are feeling in words while playing, like you, Heather.
Oh, I may have said some
Heather
swear
loves
words
a
the other
playtest.
day.
Heather
Yeah.
loves a playtest. Like just she's anyone want to playtest? Heather's like me.
No, oh, I did that the other day. I did the sandbox actually with the repelling of those like the beach balls. That was great, except there
Ah,
Yeah.
and the grapple hooks. I apologize for any swear words that I said during that play test, but there was some frustration on my part because no one was helping me. But I understand that that's part of the process of play testing is watching people suffer a little bit so that you can understand if there needs to be any additional supports in the game, signposting, things like that.
Hmm.
So it was great. It was a great experience.
Okay. Before anything else, please let me say thank you very much to Alvaro Roldan, the creator of this
Yay.
level that combines the two abilities.
Thank you,
yes.
So
Alvaro.
thank you, Alvaro.
Amazing. Thank you, Alvaro. That's been a game changer for us. See what I did there?
Yeah,
Game changer.
very, very creative.
Actually, Lao Chifo did, I think it's Lo Chifo,
Mhm.
who's also in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Lo Chifo said many Spanish speakers learn English playing video games. Again, going back to
Yeah.
my Minecraft days, I actually purposefully one of the lessons that we used to do was I would in order to use Minecraft in classrooms, I would purposefully change it to a different language. So we would go in and we would
Hmm.
say to the teachers, what language are you trying to teach your children? They say, well, they're currently doing French, at third grade or whatever. And I'd be like, great, we're going to play Minecraft in French. And I'll tell you something, kids will do anything to play Minecraft. And so if it meant learning French, they would come out the other side and they knew the name of every material, every block, every key, every
Of
setting,
course.
everything in French. And so the teacher would be like, wow, they've just learned like 200 words in French. You'd be like, right, or Spanish or German or whatever. So it was a really great way is
Having
actually
fun is the best
purposefully
way
change
of
the language.
learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
just change the language. So that was fantastic. Thank you, Alvaro, for that.
Hmm.
No,
Let's
your
do it.
name's fine. Lao Chifo, Lo Chifo. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to call you Fo. How's that?
Great. So Manuel, maybe you could tell us before
Hmm.
we wrap up,
Before we
maybe
wrap up, yeah.
something, a feature, a mechanic, a bug, anything in the game that made you want to pull your hair out, like what frustrated you.
Oh, in
Is
five
there a
minutes. That's
particular?
impossible.
No, it's just a couple.
I
It's
can
like
show you quickly.
pretend the void is
So
chasing you.
there's,
You have to be real
yeah,
fast.
one thing that wakes me in the night is we want to make this super simple. So basically, you put something here in the canvas and it should work, right? So what happens if you want to make uh, a second level
Hmm.
of um, of hate? I mean, of what happens if you let me just draw here. I will put more stones in here.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
these things are below. Interesting.
Yeah, they're on a layer above, right?
It looks like,
Apparently,
yes.
wheat can grow on stone in Threadbare. Who knew?
That's interesting. Um, let me do it here. So we put some stones, and now you want to make a bridge between
Hmm.
those. And so what I will do is create a layer, but these ones, as you just saw with the crops,
Hmm.
they are below everything that's on the ground.
Hmm.
And so I need a new layer, canvas layer, tile map layer. And let me quickly add bridge, and then
As we're watching Manuel, it's important to remember that we do offer tutorial videos and things that help you. If this
Absolutely.
looks like, wow, he's going really
yes,
fast and I don't know what he just did, we can help you with that. You don't have to, you don't have
yeah.
to know
Wait,
it right
so we
away.
worked out the bridge issue.
So wait, yes, you
This
this
is
is
another
possible, but
this is
now
another
what
thing. Okay.
happens? But here's the problem. What happens if I move the story weaver, our player, to here? It should be able to cross the bridge.
You're gonna fall
And
through.
no, it can't. And
Oh,
it's also below.
and he's stuck up
So
there.
basically, this is all fake. In many games have the elevations fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, fake elevations,
Mhm.
because that simplifies a lot. If you really, really want to have elevations, well, each component has to know exactly in at which you are entering a third dimension,
Mhm.
basically, and many things become more complex.
Yeah.
So I am still wondering how we can have this without adding too much complexity to the game. So
Well,
Mhm.
funny
that's
you should
that's
say that.
one.
Funny
Sorry,
you should
what?
say that, Manuel. One of the
Mm-hmm.
streams that I would like to start running as part of Endless Access and our stream output is what we call Figure It Out Fridays. And it doesn't have to be a Friday. We can just kind of, but basically figuring it
Mm-hmm.
out together. So maybe that could be a live stream where we get on with
Yeah.
devs and we just do it together, and people in the comments can throw their ideas
Mhm.
in. If anybody's got code that they want to apply, they can apply it. If anybody's got any ideas, they can literally send it to us, and our devs can try it in the live stream and say, "Hey, we've had a submission from someone who reckons they've fixed the bridge issue." Boom, and we can try
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so we have ideas for live streams that will fix this stuff, or at
Mm-hmm.
least try to
Mm-hmm.
fix this
This is
stuff
great.
live.
Yes.
So
We also have a
that's an
thread
idea.
in the GitHub discussions for
Hmm.
this kind of things, and it's an open discussion. Nobody has the answer, but we have all the attempts we did. They are documented there, so that's
Yep.
a great
This
way
is
also
great.
to
Yeah, if
follow the
anybody has
conversation.
ideas, head over to the GitHub discussion board or also our
Yes.
Discord community. It's a great place to connect with you and
Hmm.
Will and everyone that's working on this game. So, Manuel, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing all of this today. It's really important for us all to see that it's okay to not know everything when you first start building a game, and that even there are still challenges. You're so knowledgeable in
Yeah.
both the technical and creative aspects of game development, and you still struggle with things, and that's really important, I think, for us to remember.
Very
Um,
healthy.
No, thank you
and
both.
yeah,
You've been very kind, and also I'm really impressed by your work for the game as well, and for the programs, for the learning programs. So thank you.
thank you,
Thank you.
Manuel.
Well, listen, if anything you've heard today as a maybe you're watching as a learner, maybe you're watching as someone who knows how to play games already, maybe you're watching as someone who is either a parent or an educator, or somebody looking after learners who would love to get involved with this. Your next step is to join our Discord, which the link will appear in the chat in a second. Grab the open source code for Threadbare on our GitHub, get it
Mhm.
downloaded, get started, play, experiment, ideate, make mistakes, fail forward, and just keep trying. And yeah, just get involved with us and be a part of this. You are 100% welcome to get involved. Everyone belongs on this project. It's
That's
free,
right.
it's open source, and we want to see what you can do with this. So join our Discord, get involved, be part of our community. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening, and we will
And
see you
then
again for the next live stream.
yeah, which is going to be in a couple weeks. And special announcement, we
Mhm.
will be live from GodotCon in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam, yes, we will.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that will be our next live stream. So make sure you tune in then.
Excellent. Thanks so much,
All
everyone.
right.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Thank you
everyone.
very